Hi everyone, it's Desert Rose. I wanted to show you guys some things that I'll be working with at this time. So I have some decks, books, herbs, a stone, and a little bit of random things that I'll show when I get to it. So the first two decks that I'm using right now come in this bag, and I've been loving this bag because I get to carry it around if I just want to carry around decks if I'm going on a nature walk, or I've been going to the beach a lot, which has been really great. It's been relaxing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not much of a beach person, but ever since I've been here, it's just being out in nature, and it's the calm waters have been really soothing. Because one of my husband and I's favorite spot, it's a off the grid, so tourists don't really go there. So it's like a lagoon, and it's like a kids area because the waters are really calm. So I've been taking this with me, and originally I just had one oracle deck in here, but I mainly read with tarot, so I wanted to have a tarot deck to accompany it. I'll go with the oracle deck first because this is the original home of it, and it's the Sedona deck and oracle cards. So it comes with a little booklet. It's 33 cards. It's made in Sedona, Arizona. So it's self-published. I really do love this deck. It's simple, it's quaint, it's very sweet, which is not something that you really expect from a desert type of deck, but at the same time you do if you work with that type of energy and environment. So I've been really loving it because of that. I do work a lot with those types of environments as well as sand, so I love the deck, and it's part of my top decks, which I may get into. Here's the booklet with simple interpretations. The artist really wanted you to go off on your own to make your to get your own messages. So I love this card. It's so cute. And the white borders complement this deck very well. It also shows some places in that area, and I really do appreciate the herbs that they have here. That it's not just your standard herbs that you hear all the time. There are also different ones that are from that area, but also you get to look into other herbs. So this is the back, and this is so terrible because I love this spot to do my videos, but it's not good for my feet, so give me 1 second. So the other deck in this bag is one of those everyday decks that you have, and this is one of the very few ones that I read on a daily basis. I have 2 copies of this because I love it so much. This is my very trimmed version of the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. So I actually did more to it besides color it in. So I have a vintage copy already, and it's black and white. It has an olden look to it. I love the cardstock. It makes it very nice to shuffle because it is a larger deck, so it's important for you to have a good cardstock for it. This was very different. I feel like the intention of this deck specifically was for it to be more of a coloring book type of thing, because when you get it, it's basically pages, and you can choose if you want to cut them out or not, or just color them in. So it had a very smooth cardstock. I don't know if I would consider it cardstock, but it's more borderline because it's not necessarily the thickness of paper, the regular standard printer paper, but it's thinner than, I would say, a card. So what I did was that I was soaking very briefly the cards in tea water to get more of a, some of them have more of an olden effect because I really like that look, but others just have more of a matted look to it because it wasn't laminated or anything, but it did have a bit of a shine because it is a paper cardstock. Well, that specific type of paper cardstock, if you know what I'm talking about, since I'm not being very specific. So, and I do like the softer look to it, and it looks more like the other deck that I have, the older version. So I don't plan on treating it or trimming it because it's my beloved. So that's the other deck. In this bag I also have Fulgurite, which is when lightning hits sand. I've been really loving this for manifestation. It has high power, and I love thunder energy. I love working with thunder beings in Native American teachings, and it's one of the elements that I really am close to besides fire, which can be a part of that arguably. What other elements do I work with? I mainly work with different types of earth. A lot of greenery. I grew up in greenery, so I might get into that in another video. The next deck is another Old Faithful. I don't use this all the time, but I'm really glad it's been coming out lately. It came out in the beginning of Mardi Gras, which isn't surprising. This is the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot. I am going to be trading another copy that I have, which I'm probably going to do a video of. But this one I prefer because it's matte and it's heavier cardstock. It's better cardstock in my opinion. Not that the other one isn't, but I also got this one first, so I connected to it. And I wanted to get a second copy, but then when I received it, it wasn't the cardstock that I wanted. So I'll talk about that in another video. I'm going to try doing this under 20 minutes because we're still deciding on an internet provider, and I'm filming on my phone. It does take a long time for it to upload because it's on my phone. Well, it's not the phone that I use specifically right now, but not my main phone, but I've had this phone for a while, so it has open space because of that. Okay, so the next deck is actually my most recent deck, and that is the Sinking Wasteland Tarot. And I was talking about decks that I would use for every day, and Daughters of the Moon, it's one of them. This is another one. So this is the 3rd edition. I'm curious to see what the other cardstock and maybe box that it has for the other editions. I know it's a pretty recent one. I'm going to do a walkthrough of this, but I've been slow on uploading because I don't have internet right now. So I like the, I don't want to say dimness because it doesn't seem like a very good word, but I do like this type of imagery. I love Western comics. I love superhero movies. I'm a big fan of it. I love the cartoon X-Men growing up. This kind of reminds me of Ben 10, which is another cartoon. It wasn't necessarily in my childhood, but I've seen it briefly a couple times. And I love doing like a narration in my head, you know how they have them in the movies. It's a really fun deck to work with. There's a sense of bleakness to it. It's post-apocalyptic, so that could be another reason to add to it, but it's definitely something that matches my energy very well. I've been loving this deck. And I like how it's a go-to deck because it's straightforward. It's traditional Rider-Waite for the most part, and it's simple to read. It's nice to look at for me, and you don't really see that many more masculine decks. So the next two are oracles. The first one I got as a gift from my husband, which is the Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle. This is the first oracle that he's gotten me. 50 crystal cards for healing, self-understanding, and divination. I've been working more with crystals lately because that's mainly what they have in this area. They don't really venture off into... Well, I used to be in New England, so there was a lot. It was different. I wouldn't say a lot more, but it is more like the witchy country. I would like to refer it as, because there is so much going on there. It's like where the history of the witches really were prominent in American history. So it was really nice getting stuff there. But I like to go with what's around me, so this is the book that it comes with. I really like the book because it's not just divinatory meanings. There's also more of self-understanding and more of other properties of the stone. So you get a better understanding. I would say that you could actually use this in a sense like a tarot deck. Well, a tarot deck in a sense, because there are different suits that you can go by, which is really nice. I love the imagery. It's starting to come out again, which I love. This is more of like, it worked very well aesthetically with my Shadowscapes Tarot, which I've used around Christmas because the colors really suited the time. And I love using things that people give me in general, because I feel bad if I don't, because people really thought out to gift it to me. So the next deck is the Power Animal Oracle cards, and I love this deck to use, even if it is a brighter one, which I don't really go for. It works really well in this the sunshine state. So if I were up north, it probably wouldn't be coming out right now, but since I'm down here, I feel like I've been using my, I would say, warmer climate decks. So this is the back. This is actually a card in the deck too. And this is a trade from Mary Bo on YouTube and on Instagram. She's one of my close friends on here. And we have a lot of tarot talks. So it has more of a Westerner feel to it. And I really do, when I do read books for the decks, I really do love this one. I know that he was married to Doreen Virtue. I'm not sure if he still is. Not saying that he is him, but I didn't really get into looking at that. But it reminds me of her books, and I really do like the way that she writes, because it's clear. So those were my decks. and back there are decks I'm trading right now because I'm really looking for a specific one. The older edition, which is the pink edition of the Animal Wise Tarot. I used to have the gray one, and it was very nice to use, but the backings, I don't usually, because I usually like, be like, I really like the effort that they put in, and not saying that Ted Andrews, I love Ted Andrews' writing. I get the stuff that he has. I have another deck by him, which is on here, not that I was showing it, but the backings really bothered me. I don't know if it was the Libra in me or being like really concise about it, but it wasn't formatted correctly. And if you look at the Animal Wise Tarot, the backings, it had like Coco Pelli, but it wasn't stretched out correctly, so it looks very elongated and thin, and I just didn't work well with it. So I want the pink edition, not saying that it will have that or it won't have that, because I haven't seen the backings for the pink edition, but I think that it really matches me a lot more. But I love the deck in general. So I'm gonna go with books now. The two main books I'm working with are Mother Earth Spirituality, Native American Paths to Healing Ourselves in the World by Ed McGaw Eagleman. So I really like this book that I'm reading right now. I kind of put it aside because I started reading another book, but I really like how it's an interpretation from a Native man, his perspective on what happened to the society, which you don't hear a lot of. Right now I'm getting past the history part of it, which is usually what takes me the longest, because, not saying it was written badly, it's actually really interesting, but overall it's not something that I would usually pick up and read, specifically on that subject. So, the next book that I have is Women Who Run with the Wolves. I've seen this circulating quite a lot because it's a prominent book in the witchy community for good reason. I really am enjoying it so far. I'm reading it more slowly than I would because there is so much to take in. I heard that it's a life-changing book, and I do believe that. It's in the beginning. It does teach you deep lessons, and it's relatable. It's a crowd starter, which another reason why I feel like I would like to take my time with it to see where she's going with, and also because I'm not saying it would be repetitive, but it takes a little bit to get through those like amping words, because it reminds me of, like, I do use this term a lot, like flowery, when it comes to books. Like, they keep going in like descriptions of something before getting to the actual point of it, which I don't mind because it's interesting. I may go more in depth with it once I get more into the book. But this came around the time when I changed the name of my shop, which is awesome because the first story in here, this is kind of a spoiler. It is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes in after this, you can skip over. But it's a story of La Loba, so it's like the she-wolf, and it had a quote about the desert, and I recently found my spiritual name, or my earth name, and it's relating to that because it's one of the quotes, the first quote that's noted, because I got this used, and it's completely relatable to me because of how far I've gone just in life and my experiences, what I've been doing, especially like my witchy journey. So the quote is, "So remember, if you wander the desert and it's near sundown and you are perhaps a little bit lost and certainly tired, that you are lucky, for La Loba may take a liking to you and show you something for the soul," which I thought that was really cool. So it's already at 19 minutes. I just have my herbs to do left, so I'm going to keep going with it. I'm not sure when I'll upload this because it does take a while for longer videos. Okay, The first one is lavender. This is just one that I have, my herbs. I do have to get more herbs in bulk now because I'm not near as many herbal shops as I used to be in the New England area, but it's okay because I usually have small containers there. But I have a lot of lavender. I don't use it a lot, but I have a lot of it. I was gifted lavender. I got lavender in a couple of places because there was sales. So I've been doing products, test trial products, and I'm going to use up some of that. I have so much. This is just a small container of it. But I have bags and bags. So the next one is passion flower. Passion flower is a staple to my practice. This is the powder form, which you mainly use in tea, and this is in the leaf form. So I have more of this. This is just one container of it. But I do want to use it more medicinally. I will like to practice more because I'll be going back to school, to another herbal school, once I get all my paperwork put together, and I might talk about that in another video. So the next one is lobelia. I've been looking for lobelia. Again, this is the powder form of it. So the reason why I wanted to look or use this one is it's considered on a toxic list of herbs, so you have to be careful with it when you're ingesting it. And I would like to do some things to practice with herbs like that, because I've grown a liking, or I've always had a liking for toxic things, because they interest me. I'm like, how are they toxic, and what do you do, and like what are the precautions, and how do you use them to heal? Which is why I got another book, but I haven't started reading it, so I'm gonna include that in my haul when I do my haul. So the next herb I actually have to get more of, but it's eucalyptus. This is mainly for the scent and also for divination. I have to get a bigger container of it. Maybe not from the supermarket because I need a lot of it. But it's mainly for scent right now because of what I'm doing. So the last things are random, but I've been picking up a lot of shells. I would like to see if I can use them for runes or some type of meditation, or make it into like bone readings. So I really like this one. This is actually John's. When I say John, I'm not sure if you guys saw my other videos. He's my husband. So this one's good for meditation or to hold it. It's a soothing one. I got shells. I've been loving these types of shells. And John told me that they're prehistoric. So these are the ones that I just got today because we go to the beach nearly every day because it's something to do.